Okay, so here we are at Cedar Song Nature School on Monday, what is today, October 10th? All right, so it's Native American Day in South Dakota.
Woohoo!
And we're here with Erin Kenny. And Erin, yesterday was our October board meeting, and you were just on fire talking about this international conference that you just came back from. So tell us a little bit about that.
I did. I just got back from the International Conference on Early Childhood and Nature Education in the Netherlands and Germany, and I got a chance to visit some of the forest kindergartens there, also known as outdoor preschools in this country. And one of the things I was excited to see was that the children in these countries were allowed to challenge themselves a lot more than Americans are comfortable with. So in our country, we very much coddle our children and we don't allow them to challenge themselves. We're very risk averse. However, what has been found is that children need a certain amount of moderate risk in order to find out what their own capabilities are. And in fact, children who aren't exposed to moderate risk end up having more injuries than children who spend a lot of time outdoors and are allowed to climb and balance because they have the opportunity to understand what their own comfort zone is. So one of the things I heard the teacher say at one of these forest kindergartens in Germany is that we try to bring children outside of their comfort zone, yet not quite into their panic zone. So they're continually allowing the children to challenge themselves and push the boundaries of their own comfort zone. Here in America, so many parents are very fearful about letting their children climb very high. And in my experience, when children are allowed to climb trees as far as they feel comfortable, they will increase the height to which they climb every time they feel a little more comfortable. So children will climb to great heights in trees. And in fact, one of the women at the conference, who's from Scotland, said that she had observed a child, an 8-year-old girl, climbing very high in a tree, and some of the parents were looking at that child saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm so worried she's going to fall." And that child just looked at them and said, "I will never fall from this tree." And it was really a lesson in the idea that as children feel comfortable, they really will only go as far as they feel comfortable. However, in America, parents and a lot of educators do not allow children to challenge themselves in that way. And some of it, I believe, is because we live in a culture that's driven by fear. We are so fearful of everything, and we're fearful of exposing children to natural risks in nature. And the other thing is that we live in such a litigious society that everybody's afraid that somebody's going to get sued if their child falls out of a tree. Well, when I was a kid, we climbed as high as we wanted to in trees, and there were no adults around supervising, and I would certainly not call my parents negligent. So it's not only a cultural thing, it's a generational thing. I think that most people in America who were born before 1970 had the childhood experience of spending huge amounts of time out in nature unsupervised, this unstructured play out in nature. And children these days just absolutely don't get that opportunity. So I think that exposing children to moderate risk is an essential part of their childhood experience, and that actually we contribute to children having a disability when they don't learn the proper way to climb and the proper way to fall. So when children start to challenge themselves, if they fall from a height that's not too severe, they learn the proper way to fall. They learn how to tuck and roll. And through time, they learn the proper ways to fall that will minimize injury. Children who are never exposed to moderate risk and who are kept indoors or kept from climbing, when they do end up falling from a height that could injure them, the injuries are actually more severe because they've never learned how to properly fall. And this was actually a big topic of discussion in Europe. And as I said, the forest kindergartens I visited in the Netherlands and Germany, the children were climbing a lot higher than we, even here at Cedar Song, feel comfortable with. We have a rule that children can only climb to twice their height. And that's a safety rule as much as a rule regarding liability. So I saw 2- and 3-year-olds in this German forest kindergarten climbing 10 feet up in the air, and the teachers were not even paying attention because they realized that those children hadn't just one day climbed to 10 feet. They had started at 1 foot, and then 2 foot, and then 3 foot. And as they got more comfortable, they would climb higher. And as they understood their own abilities, it was true. They will never fall from those trees.